Hello, dear followers, futurists, and design thinkers and creative thinkers around the world. I am Ekaterina from Future London Academy, and today I will have a conversation with an amazing Ilaria from Illo TV, and we will talk about design, creativity, motion design, animation, and all these exciting things that Illo TV does. An incredible creative company that does all sorts of animation and motion design for brands like Airbnb and Samsung. Beautiful graphics, wonderful animations, just so cute, and lovely colors, but also very professional. And I just love how they adapt to different styles, whether it's Airbnb or whether it is a corporate client like Bloomberg. It's all incredibly beautiful, colorful, and just pure joy to look at. Amazing. Well, so good to have you. And as always, we prefer to start with a rapid fire question. So I have 10 questions for you, and nothing too difficult. And hopefully, just can't say first thing that comes into your mind. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Great. Best movie of all times.
So I don't know if it's of all time, but my favorite movie since 1 year is Parasite by Bong Joon-ho. And I mean, it's not the reason why I'm here in Korea, but I'm appreciating a lot Korean culture. And I think it's a very good movie that talks about different genres of movies within a single movie.
Brilliant. Yeah, I love that movie. It's hilarious.
Yeah. And also very dramatic, so it's...
Yeah, definitely. I think that there is a lot to unpack in that one, so it's really good. If anyone hasn't seen it, definitely go and watch it. It got, was it Cannes Grand Prix they got last year, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that they also won the Oscar as best foreign movie.
Yeah. Okay, describe yourself in 3 words.
Okay, so I will say that I'm a traveler. I'm quite resilient, and I have an eye for design. I don't know if there is an English adjective to make this in 1 word, but yeah, eye of design is something that it's a feature for me.
Oh, nice. We'll talk more about your eye for design definitely later in this conversation. Who inspires you at the moment?
Yeah, I think that probably, given that I have the chance to be in Korea right now, probably the Korean culture is inspiring me a lot in the moment. Of course, given that everybody is at home right now and I had the chance to travel, it's very important. So maybe it's not a person this time, but it's more like an environment I'm surrounded by.
Okay, sounds great. What's your professional achievement you're the most proud of?
So probably this year we've been able to work with Google for projects, and maybe right now I feel okay, I work for Google, but like the first time they contact us, it was, oh my God, Google is calling us, considering also that we are not like a big New York studio, but we are like based in Turin, that is the 4th city in Italy. And so even like if you're pretty local, being able to work for like major product launches or maybe major digital products has been a very big achievement.
Amazing. Well done. This is definitely the client that lots of people dream about having. So yeah. Good job. Working from home or office fun?
Office, I would say, because of course, maybe the good compromise will be 2 days from home and 3 in the studio. I think that it's a different way of working. Probably remote working is more efficient because you have less time off, less time for chatting or maybe for having coffees or maybe for meetings. But for sure, you have less serendipity, and you have less chance to connect with other people. And especially when we have to include the new team members, it's very hard to make them part of the team without being able to connect like also physically with them. And for this reason, of course, when we were able to this summer, we try to be back at the studio, at least partially, having maybe 6 seats over 12 people. So we had some days from home and days at the studio. But I think that the work that you can do when you are physically together, it's different from a creative point.
Oh, absolutely. The magic of people being together. I'm all up for that. the place on the planet you haven't been to, but you really want to visit?
I gave to each year of my life a theme, like since probably 5 or 7 years. And this year was the radical one. And so we wanted to visit like some place that are not like so a little bit out of my comfort zone. So I wanted to visit maybe Saudi Arabia or Lebanon or Uzbekistan. But of course, I wasn't able to do anything. But yeah, they are still on my to-do list to see a culture that is very different from ours, in the good and in bad. But yeah, I would like to try something very different. And I had the chance probably to have traveled a lot in the last dozen years. So yeah, I'm trying to see something that is able to impress me.
Fantastic. Well, if anyone here from Saudi or Uzbekistan are listening to us, please comment that they will show the best times to Ilenia when she's there. And definitely we're all about connecting creative communities from all around the world.
Yeah,
So I love
sure.
your idea of actually going around and seeing places. This is fantastic. The design book that changed your life, or you really think about?
Yeah, so I think that something that I would suggest to read to young designer or even old designers is Design as Art by Bruno Bunari, because I think that it gives you the perspective on how design should be beautiful, functional, and accessible. And it's also a little bit the philosophy that I would like to pursue with Illo. And another book that I'm reading right now, I don't know if it's going to be like the book of my life, is Ruined by Design by Mike Monteiro. That is talking more about the accountability, the responsibility of UX designer, and of the lack of maybe gender or race diversity at the table, of the design table. And so what like this means then in our everyday life, in our experiences when we are using Twitter or Uber. And yeah, I don't know if I agree with all his thesis, but it's a very interesting reading.
Fantastic. And the last question, what does design mean to you in one word?
Design to me, and it's also my very recent bio on Instagram, is a choice. So being able and have the courage and the strength of choose something that maybe for me it means to avoid having too many colors in a single project or too many shapes. So like follow a direction and be courageous enough to follow it without adding something that doesn't fit at all.
Oh, I love it. Definitely. Choice is the word. I think a good word actually to describe life as well. But after
Someone
you talk
was
about
saying, I was reading a comment and someone was saying, what about Egypt? And I must say that my father, my grandfather and grandmother are from Egypt. So I have some Egyptian origins. I mean, they have like then Italian origins. So they were just like living there for some of their life. But yeah, they were born in Egypt. So.
oh, amazing. So multicultural. But thank you so much for answering those 10 questions. Now we can relax and talk about bigger things, more meaningful things. And I have lots of questions for you. And by the way, everyone who joined, feel free to type in your comments below and we will try to answer as many of them as possible. But you mentioned something just earlier today about the word or the theme for the year. And I was very intrigued by that. So what is this principle of deciding on a theme for the year? And you said for this year is radical. How did you come up with this concept, and what other words did you have in the past, and how did it manifest?
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like it's this is a personal challenge maybe every year, probably since I started working. So maybe when you start working, your life tends to be more regular, because you have a work, you have a home, so it's less crazy than when you are at school, at the university, or maybe in a sabbatical year. So, I mean, you can experiment a lot, but when you start working, you have a more day-to-day routine. And so I wanted to break it with some maybe crazy or less crazy challenges, but I had the years of travels, the luxurious year, the radical year, the year of the future. I mean, I put down a list during the New Year's Eve with some crazy things, and then I try during the year to be able to solve these challenges.
Super jealous about the luxurious year. What was the
Yeah,
highlight of the
probably was the
luxurious
best
year?
one. Like I was able to be in Dubai, in a swimming pool or a rooftop. Was very, very good.
Nice. And very curious about the year of the future. The word means a lot to me. So tell me, what did you do for the year of the
Yeah,
future?
exactly. So we were able to develop a little bit more Algo, our sister studio, on a professional point. But I tried to eat some insects.
Okay.
And also maybe to write a very short, I wouldn't say novel, but let's say a blog post, Black Mirror style, with like, I don't know, maybe envisioning a dystopian future about our eyes being tracked by the phones, and so maybe if you are not watching the advertising for real, something bad could happen. So of course there were also the big Black Mirror here, so I'm really fascinated by the futures, but in the good way, and how maybe design can improve our future. But also I'm really passionate by technology, and a little bit of dystopian. It's also something that probably lead us to debate more about the choice we are taking in our present.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, love it. And yeah, Black Mirror definitely has a lot of interesting insights, specifically for this year, but in general, thinking about the future is such a great topic. We actually launching, it's a secret information, but we're launching a course soon about trends in the future and foresight in general. And we're developing the content now, and I'm just so blown away by how much use we can get from just trying to have these exercises of thinking of the future and different possible futures, what you described, like writing a blog post and just kind of playing around with what these futuristic scenarios might look like, actually can help a lot in your strategy, in how you build a business and how you build your product.
Sounds super interesting. Yes.
Fantastic. So actually, I want to talk to you about your career as well, because I think you're in a very interesting field of illustration, animation, and you have a design studio, but lots of the things that you do are to do with illustration and animation. And it's not an easy career path, and very I was talking to my friends who are illustrators, and they said it's probably the most difficult one to make a living out of. When you graduate and you think, okay, I am now an illustrator, it's not really straightforward how you can make money with it. And you decided to build a studio, which is, again, not necessarily an obvious choice for someone who is just passionate about creating great graphics. So tell me more about how did this journey happen, and when was your kind of insight moment that you decide, okay, I should run a company and this is how I will build my career?
Yeah, probably the reason why I started the studio is also because I really know that like the illustration, the career as illustrator can be very hard, especially if you are not among the top-notch illustrators. But it's a bit like in the music industry. So sometimes you have like the rock stars that have a lot of followers and a lot of works, and then you have maybe the one they are working just locally, and they are not able to come up with a higher audience, larger audience. But to me, I didn't plan to be an illustrator, and I didn't plan to work with illustration at that time. Also because I graduated in, I have 2 degrees. Like the first one, the bachelor degree, was in industrial production engineering. So I mean,
that's very serious, very opposite of illustration.
Yeah, I mean, we did some technical drawings of some mechanical pieces, but not really a school of art. But it was interesting because it left me plenty of choices after this first year, 3 years. And so, yeah, I did some years at the university in Torino, the engineering school, and then I did a couple of years in Paris at the School of Economics. So maybe this was important for the entrepreneurial side of running a studio. But after this, like while I was studying industrial production engineering, I felt that I was more interested by communication and marketing, and so I started trying to do some internship in this field. And after this, I decided to switch my university career to new media and cinema engineering. And like thanks to these final 3 years with this Master of Science, I opened Illustrator and After Effects, and then like everything followed. But yeah, like of course, also when I was a kid, I was a pretty creative person. I really liked to draw. I was very bad at sports, even if I tried most of them. So I feel that I was a creative person. And also I had a computer when I was like a kid, like 6 or 7 years old. And given that there were the old times where we didn't have the internet connection like you young guys right now, I had just like one computer, and I didn't like video games, but I had Photoshop on it, and I had 2 images. One was the one for like the first image of the JPEG compression. That is like a lady with a hat. I don't know if you have this in mind. I realized just like a lot of years later that the shoot was for Playboy, but I mean, it was just a headshot. And I had like the photo of my classmates. I was in the primary school, and I was able maybe to do something very bad and very basic. And after this, maybe in the middle school, I asked for Christmas the software publisher. That was a software for Microsoft Office. I don't know if it was called Office at the time, but I wanted to be able to do more crazy word arts, the one I was able to do in Word. And I mean, I started editing some videos for birthdays or maybe fake ads during the high school, even if I did classical studies, completely different. And I think that I did my first motion design video in PowerPoint because
Wow.
I was so it's like a
The
very
true
weird path.
creative that will, it doesn't matter which instrument you use, like the true creative will
Exactly.
always find the way. Oh, this is amazing. Brilliant. I mean, this is probably one of the oddest career paths I've had to become an illustrator or a motion designer or run a creative company. It has so many different parts, but as you said, it seems like from the very early beginning, you knew you are creative and you were drawn to the Photoshop and everything that was creative with the computer. Why did you not pursue it? Like, if you had this idea that you like Photoshop and you like it, why did you go to study other things that not necessarily are linked directly to design?
Yeah, because maybe I knew that this was one of my passions, but I also was maybe very good scholar at the time, so I wanted to like do the most difficult school, or maybe also have more choices for the future. I mean, maybe in my 18th, I wasn't sure that I wanted to be a designer. Also, probably while design is more well known and mainstream right now, like you can say to someone that you are a designer. I don't know if at the time with maybe less digital culture, being a designer was like a big possibility, like to tell my parents, okay, mom, I want to be a designer. So I wanted to be sure that I had like 3 years, like a first degree, where I would be able to work almost anywhere. And also I chose the school because you had to spend 2 years in Paris, and was a very good option for my for the Ilenia of some years ago. And yeah, I think it has been a weird path. But when I see this now, I think that it totally makes sense, because like half of my day is about entrepreneurship, half of my day is about creative direction. And so the media and cinema engineering and the production engineering totally makes sense.
Yeah, I think when we all look back on our all the career choices were like, this was such a great career path, because I studied programming. So I studied C++ to find out that actually what I like is design. But at that point, as you said, design wasn't really a straightforward career path. So programming seemed like the closest to the creative field. You could create something at least with programming.
Yeah.
And now when I look
And
back, it's like,
I
oh,
did
that's so
coding
useful.
too. I did coding too in the new media and cinema engineering, and I think it's very important to shape the mindset of a designer too. So I suggest to all the designers.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Codes.
I think what's probably was an important reflection for me is that in the moment it didn't feel that I was doing the right thing. And I remember how because I had friends who actually went to study art, and I was so jealous of them, thinking like they are the true artists that actually made the leap. And first of all, they could draw and I couldn't. And they actually, I don't know, do these drawings every single day, and they're living the life, they're living the dream, and I can't do that. But now when I look back, I'm like, no, actually, that was much better. Now I have like understanding of both sides. So I don't know, was it the same for you? Did you feel like you wanted to actually to study in a design school, and it was also like a dream for you?
Yeah, sometimes when I was at cinema and media engineering, I was expecting to have more creative direction there, or creative exams, but instead it was pretty technical, and we had a lot of coding exams and classes. And yeah, I think that coding is quite hard, of course, but it's also very creative, and it has a sort of orgasmic pleasure, I would say, because when like things works, they work for real, and like you can see the result. And I think that it's also very interesting in terms of design, because you can have a more generative design, like you can have variables that can change your design, and this of course has been also crucial for our sister studio Algo, where we do like video automation, and so it's very important to connect data with design. But yeah, I still find I'm not coding anymore. I'm probably still able to read some code, but yeah, unfortunately but my first real job experience beyond the stage, beyond internships, was as interaction designer, and I was coding in action scripts. That was the like
The
coding
thing
language
of the
for
time.
Flash.
Yeah. Yeah, amazing. And let's talk about your sister studio and in general, this kind of combination of technical skills and creative skills and bringing together. So yeah, again, you decided probably to do quite an unconventional thing for an animation or creative studio, of having this kind of another chapter in your adventures. So how did this decision come about, and why did you decide not just to stick to doing great motions and graphics? Why did you decide that you need to do another thing and add this to your portfolio?
Yeah, it started probably because a very big client for us at the time, it was a major national client, Italian client, and asked us to create like 10 or 20 videos per Sunday, for every like match day of the Italian soccer championship.
Oh,
So
wow.
you imagine like we have the at the time it was the request, the client request of our life, because it was like a good amount of money, a good visibility, and it was a very interesting project. They wanted us to showcase the scores or the other relevant moment of a match without showing the images of the players, because they are under like rights, and so we had to create a sort of infographics of the relevant moments of the matches. And they thought that we would be able to do this by hand on during weekends, or maybe at nights when matches happen. And Luca, at my business and life partner, so we are also a couple, had the great idea of thinking about pulling this data automatically, because it also was watched a project from back. They did something similar for a tennis competition, and then probably we push a little bit forward than what they did for video automation, given that I mean, we had a strong engineering background in our studio, because also our first employee is a very good animator and coder. And so like little by little we were able to create some design templates that were completely custom, just like we did for a standard video, but we were able to pull data from a server, import them in After Effects that was like running on the cloud, and then render the video automatically. And so you were able to enjoy our weekends.
Wow. I mean, it is brilliant idea, but I can't say there would be something that would immediately come to someone's mind when they were given a project. So is it because you had those technical skills and kind of you always thought about how to optimize things? Is that kind of from your side? Was it from your partner's side? How did it even happen?
Maybe also by having worked and also Luca did like cinema and media engineering, also having worked with Flash. So when we connect maybe API or data to like something that looks more like an app, probably not a video, but probably it's the same concept. So we are already this mindset. We were ready to connect variables with design, and this has been like very important also for other projects we did for the Olympics, for Bloomberg, and for Doctor Without Borders. We recently worked with Johns Hopkins University to track the pandemic since this summer. And so, yeah, it has been a very nice add-on to our Illo studio.
Amazing. Let's talk actually more about your studio and your partner and how you're running things, because first of all, yeah, it's a very interesting story that you're married and you run a company together, but also how do you even think about running a company? You have obviously the business skills, the strategic skills. So who does what in this partnership? How do you separate the responsibilities, and what's your responsibility in the business?
Sure. So, I mean, Luca and I are together since we were 18 or 19, and now I'm 35 years old, so it's almost 17 years. And so we started as a couple first, and then we became business partners. And of course, first classmates at the university, and then business partners. Oh. And when we started, everyone was doing everything. So both animation and illustration, and replying to emails and doing calls. We were like acting as a creative couple, and it was like also it was a very competitive environment because we are not like the ones saying, "Oh, Luca, you did a great job," but we were always challenging to do our best. And then when we started the studio in 2012 and we added some teammates, Luca was taking care more of the animation, me of the illustration. And then like fast forward to now, right now, I'm taking care mainly of the creative direction, Luca of the client direction. But beyond this, I'm also taking care of the more management task or financial aspects also of the company, while Luca is also taking care of Algo, more from also running all the operations of Algo. And yeah, so every one of us has its own field of competence. We have maybe also different skills and things that we like, but yeah, I think of course working with a partner is quite difficult because you can be very direct, but sometimes you are too direct. And sometimes professional life and personal life can mix up. within the years, we were able to be more professional where we needed to be professional, but sometimes like we have a lot of debates, let's say. For example, we had to do our new website, Illo website together, and it was very, very challenging because we had two different opinions on how like initially how the website should look like. And we also do real board meetings every quarter. I think that this can sound pound for a couple. It's also important to assure like financial and strategic stability to our company. So we like grew up becoming better professional, but still being in a couple.
Oh, fantastic. I mean, this is an incredible story, and I actually know lots of also founders and people who work together while being a couple. And yeah, everyone kind of highlights very similar things. That on one hand, it's a great thing that you know each other, so you can be very straightforward. You don't need to sugarcoat things because you essentially this is the person who trusts you. On another hand, yeah, the boundaries become very blurry, and you have to be very careful. And especially because both of you have very similar backgrounds, you kind of started doing the same thing. And as you mentioned, it was very competitive. I mean, I would literally like, I think I would stress so much if I had to compete with my own partner. I think that's like, I always liked to have like different skills, and my business partner is more on the business side while I'm on a creative side, and that definitely brings the balance. In your partnership, who was making the final decision? Like, if there has to be, if there are two opinions, but the decision needs to be made, who is making the decision?
Yeah, it depends on the field. So maybe if it's a decision for Algo, is Luca to take the final decision. If it's maybe a budgeting thing, and I'm taking more care about the financial things, it's me that have like the final decision. So it depends. And yeah, of course, it could be stressful, but on the other side, we are not competitive on the salary. He's looking at replying her, and we work for the same company, so we have like the same wage. Put the things on the same level.
I think, yeah, full transparency definitely is much easier when you are with your partner, because essentially you know everything about each other. There is nothing to hide. So definitely it's a much more trustful relationship, and I suppose it's a bit easier to figure out some things. And in all these years, you've been running it for 10 years now, and obviously you achieved incredible success with the clients and the work. But I can imagine not every single day of those 10 years was an easy one. Do you remember a big, I don't know, the worst day that happened during these 10 years when you were like, oh, I don't know what to do with this. This is so hard. I wish I didn't have to deal with this. Do you remember what that was, and how did you get out of it?
Maybe there was a difficult period. I wouldn't say a single day, but like more like a couple of months for our Algo studio, because we just hired a person, and the rights for the soccer competition I was talking you earlier weren't owned anymore by the company, by our client. And so this major project that was really important for us stopped like from one day to another. And so like we were like, we didn't look for other clients, and we were like pretty stupid at the time, but we were lacking a little bit of expertise about like finding the right stability to always find new clients and publish things in our portfolio. And so it was very important. But at the time, as you said, the Algo projects is not like easy as a normal video that is more easy to sell, and so we were struggling a little bit to find new clients, and we have like this new person that we just hired, and I was super scared to have to lay off someone. I didn't want to do it, but I also know that I mean, I was the entrepreneur, so I had to like keep our accounts in mind. And I think that we did two things that saved us. The first one was splitting, and I think this is an engineering mindset, splitting the problem, the big problem is smaller problems, and assign one of these problem to other team member and ask them maybe to find new clients, do some calls with prospects at the time, even if it wasn't their like job, but they should be ready to to help this moment. And also design a completely new website for Algo that was more bold and recognizable. And I think that the combination of the two led us to have bigger and bigger clients throughout time, and so also we assured like the financial stability of Illo. But of course, I mean, having a financial stability is something very important from and then maybe you can think about making the creativity skyrocketing, but of course when you are responsible for the salaries of 12 people, sometimes it can get stressful, but of course we need to have a structure for which you don't stress when a month is not good, but you stress if 6 months are not good. But luckily after this like moment, we always had a quite good trend, and like we're quite happy of where we are right now.
Amazing. Well, it sounds, I mean, sounds like a hard time,
Yeah.
going through the unknown period when you don't actually know what the way out is. You don't know if it will work out what you're doing. So you're kind of betting on certain things, hoping that they will work out. So how long was this period? Was it a month? Was it
2 months, like from 2 to 5 months.
Oh,
So maybe
wow.
these different shades. But yeah, I mean, things with Illo were doing great at the time, but still we wanted to have like this little baby growing up, and so it was like more delicate than Illo that was already running by itself.
How did you, I don't know, talk about this with Luca, or how did you motivate yourself or calm yourself down during this time? Because I can imagine there were lots of thoughts in your head of, I don't know, I don't know if that was your thought, shall we shut it
Yeah,
down?
yeah.
It won't work out, or I don't know. What were your thoughts, and how did you process all of that in your head?
Luckily, me and Luca have like a very similar background in terms of university and experiences, but also we have different behaviors when stressful things happen. I'm usually stressed 3 months before things happening, and Luca is very calm, while Luca is very stressed when things are happening. And so, I mean, thanks to these different, of course, these different moments can lead us to some discussions, but in general, we have at least one people in the boardroom that is focused and rational and can carry on with all the team.
Oh, I love it. And so important to have a co-founder that is there to support you. And I think
Yeah.
even in, I think in Y Combinator, they didn't allow single founders in the accelerator because they said they have less chances of surviving
But
during the first
I'm
years.
not sure if they accepted couples as well, like couples in life, because also it's very, I mean, it could
Risky.
be very risky.
Ah.
Since the beginning, we decided to incorporate as a company with shares, like it's a limited company. But like, I think that even if you work with your partner, it's very important to put things down and be sure that I mean it's good for you, but it's also good for your employees.
Oh, absolutely. And in kind of talking about hard times, how do you relax in general, whether it is when it has been a really hard day and you really need to, I don't know, take your mind away from the things, or in general when you really want this inspiration or something, how do you relax and, I don't know, get yourself feel a bit happier?
I really love to have a very, very long breakfast during weekends that start with a caffè macchiato, like the espresso coffee with a little bit of creamy milk. And then maybe I'm reading a design magazine, or maybe I also love to read maybe more economic or political, like Business Week magazine or other like things from the Italian press. And I also like to show to look at my Instagram saved post, because of course we have some design or typography things or interior design things. And then usually we end up this morning with a glass of Prosecco. So this is like my dreamy morning during the weekend. During the weekdays, I like to finish the work quite early because I'm a morning person. And I mean, like being able to be out at 6, it's very, very lovely, because you can have an afterlife after work. And I like to go out with my dog, or maybe, I don't know, have an aperitivo, or like a spritzer, or maybe meeting some friends. And so it's very important to me be sure to have some free time. So I'm not a workaholic founder that is saying, okay, I have to, like, everything is on me. No, absolutely. And also because maybe I'm very fast when I work or when I design, but I can get tired very easily. So like my maximum battery lasts 7 to 8 hours. After this, I need some to relax and have a walk, or do something funnier.
Great. It seems like you're very organized with your work and life balance, which is very rare for founders, and
It
especially
came
for
after,
creative
night
people.
after night. Of course, when we started, like the first 2 or 3 years, like the first year and a half as a freelancer, and then in the very early stage of our company, we didn't have nights or weekends or holidays or things like this. And I didn't regret it, because it was the beginning, and you want to make like this all. But like right now, when we became an actual studio, to me it's very important to have a good balance. And also we started the company to being able to decide the work-life balance we wanted, because maybe in our previous little experiences, we were working in bigger corporations where you are a very little gear of a larger engine, but also where being a workaholic maybe was appreciated at the time. Maybe things now are a bit different. But yeah, I really think that time is really precious, both ours and our employees' ones.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, I think it's everyone needs to find their own balance, what makes them happy. I was actually talking to an advisor in an accelerator, asking like, okay, you see all these startups. Can you tell me, like, is it really needed to work 24 hours to make it? Like, what kind of statistics do you see? And he's like, actually, there are people who work 24 hours and don't get anywhere, and there are people who work very kind of slowly and in their own pace and get everything. It really depends on who you are as a founder. If you cannot stop in this, really what drives you, don't try to stop yourself just because everyone says, oh, you should finish at 6 or like 7 or whatever. If you can, if you want to, go for it. But if you feel like I'm not productive after 7, so what's the point of me sitting there? Then don't. There's no one answer. Brilliant. So let's talk about the future, because again, it has been one of your themes. So hopefully you had time to think about the future as well. And where do you see yourself, your company, I don't know, in 20 years, somewhere like far in the future? Do you see yourself still running it? Do you see it as a massive company? Do you want to keep it small? Do you want to retire and do something else? Have you thought of it at all?
Let me think. About 20 years, I will be 55, so I'm going still to work, probably for a dozen of years. I hope that Illo will still be there. And of course, when I started the company, or when you start a business, a company, for the first year, you say to yourself, I will be very lucky if I will be able to last another year, and then another 3 years. And so right now, I think that our lifespan could be at least other 5 years, 10 years, but I hope, of course, more. I hope that yeah, maybe we're going to work always with design and animation, but maybe we're going to work in a different way. I don't know. Maybe we are not going to work more on pixels on digital screens, but maybe a more environmental space will be our canvas, and also maybe we're going to have more generative design. So yeah, I think that also, of course, we have the motion part, but also maybe the design thing. So maybe we can design. We are not designing experience right now, but we are designing how brand communicate themselves. So I think that it's something that will be still valid in 20 years.
I mean, that's a great plan. I love the new development of environmental design and everything else. I think definitely it's going away from our screens right now into the world, all the design and interaction. So it's interesting to see where will it be in 20 years? Well, was it 20 years ago? It was in a completely different space. So I assume in 20 years it will be in completely other space. And what do you think you will do when you're 80, 90 years old? Have you thought of your dream? I don't know, what will you still be working? Will you be living in a house in the countryside? Have you thought of your
Uh,
80s?
okay, so I hope that Illo and Algo will still be there, so I can get a small salary from them and have a nice retirement plan. Probably I'm still going to like be interested by design, but maybe I will be teaching or maybe just enjoying my. I actually bought last year, yes, very scrappy barn that I would like to renew. And make it like a holiday home, or also maybe a little place where fellow creatives can come and enjoy the countryside and do some like personal projects. So maybe I will be simply doing my personal project, or I don't know, maybe I'm going to watch television like all the grannies are doing. So yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, let's see what Paula Scher will do in a few years, and we will take some inspiration from her.
Oh, definitely. I love Polish hair. And actually,
Yeah,
she
she's still
talks
young. She's still younger than
she
this.
talks, yeah, again, she talks about how actually being older in design, it kind of gets better and better with every year. And I think she said, yeah, when you're 50, then suddenly all your clients are the same age as you. So you don't need to prove anything anymore because they're just your buddies, and you can be like, hey, trust me, will work
Exactly.
out. So yeah, and Michael Wolf, an amazing founder of Wolf Audiences, I think he's 87 now. Seriously, still working in design, still coming up with ideas, and while living his best life and enjoying like all the other things that life has to offer. So I think it's great to think that we all can still do our work if we want to, until whenever, if our brains will allow us. I have last question for you before we wrap up this wonderful conversation, which is, if you could go back 5 years ago, so when your company was like just developing and growing, and you could give yourself an advice that would save you either a lot of time, energy, stress, whatever, what would you tell yourself?
Maybe we should have understood a little bit earlier our style, because I think that maybe at the time was already quite clear for other people, not for us, but like with times we understood that we were recognized for colors and shapes and for how we naturally match things together. And then when we discovered this, we thought like how to like create our portfolio, considering how we were perceived by other people, and of course also putting on top of it our direction. But yeah, like understanding, and also probably 5 years ago we switched our the name of our company, because when we started we were called Illo, that is like my name, Ilenia Notarangelo and Luca Gonnelli, and then we had the strength to switch it to Illo, And it was at the time it was a really big move, and we were very scared. Oh my god, nobody will remind our name, our older clients won't call us anymore because we changed our name. And instead, I mean, we were very lucky to choose a very beautiful and short name after Ilenia. So yeah, probably would say, okay, go with Illo and focus on what is Illo style and pursue it.
Oh, I love it. And so brave to change the name as well. This is a
Mm.
very bold move, but loving your name, definitely a good
Thank
choice.
you.
So well done. Thank you so much, Ilenia. It was so lovely
Thank
talking
you,
to you.
Katrina. It was a
And
pleasure.
yeah, and hopefully you will enjoy the rest of your evening. And whenever you're in London, we'll see each other in real
Sure.
life at some point. And thanks everyone for joining. If you're not following Illo TV yet, please do. They have amazing work, so do follow them on Instagram and everywhere else, and get inspired by their really bold, colorful, geometric style. And if you want to hear more from people like Ilenia about creative life, also follow Future London Academy. There will be more interviews and fun conversations coming out. Thank you so much, Ilenia,
Thank
and
you,
lovely
Katrina.
talking. And thanks everyone for
Bye.
joining. Until next time,
Bye-bye.
bye.